Hi everyone, I'm Onita. Welcome back to my awkward little booktube channel. Today's video is going to be my 2021 reading stats. And I never thought of doing a reading stats video before, but I just quickly did a quick little stats kind of thing, and I gotta say it's quite interesting what I'm about to show you. It's actually quite exciting me, like the amount of reading I have done. And it's just really interesting to see it in this kind of statistical format kind of thing. First thing I want to show you is a general overview of the books I've read, how many I've DNF'd, pages read, female, male authors, physical, and ebooks. So, as you can see, I have read around 53 books. 5 of them were DNFs. With my worst books of the year of 2021, the reason why I had only said I had done 3 DNFs, I had 3 DNFs, was because 2 of those were in the disappointments area of it. So that's why, would you imagine, if I had have read all of those books, I would have had 58 books in the year out of the 50 I had wanted to read, which is very fascinating. 21,957 pages read. As you can see, which month? February was my best month, but May was the best month in terms of books I have read. That was the month where I had read like a lot of sci-fi, and I had finished a lot of books. I think there were like a lot of shorter books or books I was able to get through quickly. Male to female, it's not too bad actually. 1 more male than female, which is like round halfway point, which isn't too bad. I have read more ebooks than physical though, which I want to try and read more physical this year, just specifically for physical TBR purposes, because a lot of books I have are just sitting on my shelves that need to be read. And the next general overlook or overview that I will be showing you are the genres, and these are going to be in months. I will show you these general ones before we get into the bars, like the bar graphs and the pie graphs. So we got fantasy, sci-fi, horror, romance, thriller, non-fiction, general fiction, which I usually lump in with literary fiction, contemporary fiction. That's what I mean by general fiction. Then we have graphic novel, poetry, and historical fiction. Those are the most genres that I see myself reading. I think it's safe to say that I am more of a fantasy reader. As you can see, I have 28 fantasy, 6 sci-fi, 3 horror, 3 romance, 6 thriller, 1 non-fiction, 4 general fiction, 4 graphic novels, 1 poetry, 2 historical fiction. The ones I would like to do more of is the sci-fi, maybe some horror and thriller, because I used to be a primarily thriller reader before, but then I've come upon the realization that a lot of thrillers just felt a little bit generic to me. So that was why I had dropped out a lot on thriller, and I think in the past couple of years is when I realized that I am a bit more of a mainly fantasy reader. But honestly, I would love to try and read as much as I can out of all these genres, because I do myself reading more of these genres. And also another important thing to say is that fantasy romance, like the dystopian, which is like a subgenre of sci-fi, so any sort of subgenre will be in these main genres. So like fantasy romance, I had read some fantasy romance in February. They will be in the fantasy area. So like all the subgenres of the main genres will be lumped into the main genres is what I'm trying to say. We are going to be getting into the graphs section of this video now, because this is the most fascinating part for me. So the first one I have here is books read in 2021 by months. So let us have a little looky. This may be a little bit different because I may have made a bit of a boo-boo with some things. Like 2022 will be better for stats and stuff, don't you worry. But yes, as we can see, look at poor little July. It's so sad. Like, poor July, this was when my reading slump happened. Around the June, July, August time was when my reading slump happened, but June did not end up being too bad, but I think I had some DNFs around that point. But July was the worst. I only read like 1 little lonely book, and that is so sad. I definitely think the beginning parts of 2021 were definitely my strongest, so it's very interesting. Oh, actually, I don't think I have DNFs in here. I don't think I do. I think that's for the yearly pie chart thing, which I'll be showing you next, but this is what my months looked like. I was so close to reading 10, and I hope I can read 10 books this year. I doubt it'll happen, but wishful thinking. If we look in the year, this pie chart includes DNFs. We have books read, which is 53 books I have read at 91%, and the DNFs, 5 DNFs, and at 9%. So it was a pretty good year for reading for me. 2021 was. I was very impressed. Like, the fact I only read nearly 100% of all the books. That is really good. I'm very, very happy with that. Now, we're getting into pages read. Yep, poor little July. Poor little July. If you would have seen the generalized section of this, you would have known that 373 pages was read in poor little July. May and February were my best months. February, I ended up reading the first 2 books in the From Blood and Ash series, and those books are longer. That was why the page count is a little bit higher. I think we can tell that the first half-ish of the year was the better part for me of the year. The poor little later half, poor July. Just poor July, that's all I can say. But yeah, it actually wasn't too bad. I thought my reading slump was way worse, but it actually isn't too bad at all. We are getting into author genders by month. Blue is female, orange is male. More female was read kind of more in like the first few months. But then around like March and stuff, we started to see a bit of a dip in that, only because I was reading the Witcher series at the time, and I was reading a bit more fantasy, a bit more sci-fi, more horror. Like, as we can see, October was more men, and so was July, not July, but like May and March. We do have only just one equal one, which was June, which is very fascinating. What did I even read in June? Oh yes, it was a mixture of both. Yeah, that makes sense. I remember what I read now, so that's all settled and done. Now, if we look at it yearly, don't get confused. The blue is the female at 49%, male is orange at 51%. I don't know why they were switched around like that. I really don't, but yeah, it's like 1% away from being 50-50. And if you would have seen in the generalized area of this video, I read 24 female and 25 male authors, which is very fascinating. I'm nearly hitting that halfway point, which is good. I like hitting that halfway point. I think I should be reading half male, half female authors. Now, looking at the formatting. This is the monthly formatting. We can see that there's actually a little more half-half in my physical and ebooks that I have read. Blue being physical, orange being ebook. There's definitely a lot more half-half, isn't there, than with anything else. This looks pretty standard to me. Pretty general. I think we can all see what's happening here. I like seeing the half-half because I do want to try read half-half of physical and ebook. February was a lot of ebooks with like romance books and fantasy romance. Yup, I did not read too many physical books in April. And yeah, I think that's all we should see for that. And we are getting to the last one, the genres. This is for like the whole year. So we have definitely more fantasy and poor little non-fiction. I do want to try and read more non-fiction. Like I said before, I do want to try and generally read a lot more of these. And just to expand my horizons, I guess you could say. I do want to try and read more poetry because I actually do quite enjoy poetry. Non-fiction, I read like my first non-fiction book last year. Is called Can't Even by an author I can't remember. And it was all about burnout, and it was very fascinating to me. Thrillers and sci-fi are nearly pretty equal. So was the general fiction and graphic novels. Horror, romance were nearly almost equal, but I do want to try and expand those a lot more. And that is all for the video. Thank you very much for watching. I just thought it'd be a very interesting little thing to do this, and like doing the statistical aspect of this really fascinated me. I don't have a series tracker, but I do want to try and get into a series tracker for next year. And I hope to be doing this a little bit more in the future of this channel too. I know I enjoyed like filling everything out. It was just so fascinating to me. you see like numbers in a spreadsheet and you think, yeah, okay. But then when you put it in a graph with actual pictures and colors, it's fascinating to see how much reading you can do. And like I said, thank you very much for watching. If you liked it, give it a big ol' thumbs up, leave a comment down below, and make sure you hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!